Hello, I'm Chris.
And I'm Christian.
And this is Echo On,
a True Crime podcast.
This is True Crime Tapas, Mini Stories 2.
Yeah, this is episode 17. This is we've done quite a few.
Done a few now.
I like it.
You'd thought we got better at it.
No, worse.
Worse,
some
if
would say.
anything.
So yeah, Chris and I have basically researched little stories to tell, little quick things, little true crime, exactly as it is. Tapas, little tasters.
That's for you, Andy.
Yeah, little tasters of little things that are little crimes that have come out. Some of them are not necessarily crime specific, just about the general subject of crime that we think you might find entertaining. Well,
Yeah.
Would you like to go first, or should I go
Let's call it infotainment.
Infotainment, murdertainment. No, that's not.
No.
It's not all murder. That's why.
No.
First,
I don't have any murder, I don't think.
I'll-
Go on, you go first.
I'll go first. I will go with a mini one.
Well, that's...
This is actually literally a mini one. On August the 3rd, 2017, two Frenchmen were discovered by their neighbour,
Oui.
69-year-old Lucien Perrault
Oui.
and 38-year-old Olivier Boudin.
Oui.
They seem to have died during a lavish dinner.
They
that
seem
said.
to have died.
Yes, during a lavish dinner that they had.
Ooh. Ooh la la.
At first, the police assumed that they died from food poisoning and were looking for some kind of murder thing that was going on. But then... when the Pasteur Institute of Paris tested the food and concluded that the meal didn't contain any botulism or anything like that, so a mysterious murder was suddenly on the table.
So they found these two people on the table. They found these
next to the
two,
baguette.
So they found these two French people. It's not relevant, but these two people dead at a table.
Yep.
After eating a lavish dinner.
But for them, yes, and they thought food poisoning.
Snails and frog legs, probably.
Yes,
yeah.
but they said there was no botulism, nothing that could have killed them. So they said there must be a mystery thing.
Must be a murder.
They found no signs of struggle. The two men had no enemies and led simple lives. They were certainly not the sort of people to have been picked off by any criminal group or anything like that.
Okay, so they couldn't find any motive for why they were to be killed.
And the mysterious case apparently gripped the nation. But curiosity quickly turned a bit depressing when the doctors finally determined the real cause of death. Now, this is the bit I have a bit of trouble with. Like, it was recent, and I did look into it. Yes, there was a thing gripping the nation. People didn't know how it was done. They found that Perrault had choked to death on a 1.5-ounce chunk of beefsteak. Surely they would have found that out at the fucking beginning, not before it got to the point of being in the newspapers.
Yeah, you think that'd be obvious.
But so he choked to death. But
that
you
sucks.
think that could have been prevented by the younger guy?
Yeah.
Boudin.
So did the other guy Did you think he just sit there then and just
No.
watch his friend die and be like, well, I wanted him off anyway, so
he
he's
sat
gone now.
there, but he died of a heart attack that he
Oh,
thinks was triggered
shit.
by the sight of seeing his lifelong
Oh, no.
friend being strangled by a bit of beef.
Strangled by beef.
Yeah. It was basically, the news came out and all the locals were kind of heartbroken that it was such a stupid death, as they called it. But they did, there was a lot of news reports commented about the metaphor for the fleeting pointlessness of man, which I thought was so French.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the strange double homicide that turned out to be a 1 in a million coincidence. Yeah, one guy, I mean, he's choking to death. You think, oh, fuck, I've got to save him. Instead, you're so shocked, you have a heart attack.
That is... What are the chances?
I know.
Really high pitched then.
I was very... when I say I was happy about this, I was happy that a death that...
no crime had been
murder.
committed in the end.
Yeah, and it was like, it's such a tragedy, but it's so funny.
It is.
I
It's
hate to
awful,
say it,
but it is a little bit funny. I mean, people died. That's terrible. But in a yeah, for fuck's sake, choked to death and a heart attack.
Yep. So that's my first tapas.
So
It's just a little starter. Let's
My
go to the next
first one, an amuse-bouche.
Yes, it
My
amused
first
my
one.
bouche. It's French as well. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, very good. Very good.
This
Anyway.
one actually isn't funny at all.
Oh,
But it's just...
well, bring the fucking tongue
it
down.
is.
Then.
It's Alabama.
Oh, that's
all
disgusting.
over. So this happened. We're recording this on the
28th of June.
28th of June. This happened just a few days ago.
Oh, current.
So a woman
Yes.
whose unborn
Well, you've started off well.
a woman whose unborn baby died after she was shot in the stomach during an argument has been charged with manslaughter.
What? No. What?
So
you say that
A
right?
woman, she was pregnant.
Yeah.
She got shot in the stomach.
Yeah.
Her baby got killed with a shot.
Yeah.
And she's being charged with manslaughter.
She is in the person that got shot and didn't
whilst
fire
the
gun.
shooter has walked free. So Marsha Jones, 27, from Birmingham, Alabama, or Birmingham, was indicted by a grand jury on a manslaughter charge and taken into custody
why was she?
On Wednesday.
She didn't pull the
So
trigger.
like 3 days ago.
What the fuck?
So police initially charged Ebony Jemison, 23, with manslaughter. So they initially charged the shooter with manslaughter, obviously.
Yeah.
But the charge was dismissed when a grand jury failed to indict her. So it's believed that the argument outside of a shop in Pleasant Grove. So it happened in a place called Pleasant Grove.
Okay.
Which is known as the Good Neighbour City.
Okay.
So it happened on the 4th of December last year, but she was indicted a few days ago. So 4th December 2018. About the unborn baby's father. So these two women, one's pregnant, the other one isn't. They had an argument over the unborn baby's father. Jones was 5 months pregnant at the time. Was picked up in a car after she was shot and driven to a nearby city. She was later rushed to hospital after police and paramedics tracked her down, but her unborn child, fuck's sake. She was later rushed to hospital after police and paramedics tracked her down, but her unborn child did not survive. At the time of the shooting, Lieutenant Danny Reed of Pleasant Grove Police said the only true victim was the unborn baby.
No.
So what they're saying is
that's wrong.
So they're saying that their thought process, if there is one, is that Mrs. Jones, she started the fight. She started the argument. So the pregnant lady, she instigated the argument.
Fine, yeah.
She continued the fight. And because she started it and continued it, and that resulted in her baby being killed, she's responsible because he said that it was the unborn baby, the fetus, relied on her for protection.
But how did she wasn't responsible for the other person, Ebony,
shooting
having
her.
a
You
gun?
don't have to fucking shoot someone, do you?
No. Apparently in Alabama you do.
Lieutenant Reed said the fetus.
Just call him Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan said the fetus was, this is a quote, dependent on its mother to try to keep it from harm, and she shouldn't seek out unnecessary physical altercations. For fuck's sake.
Jesus.
Because she started the argument and the person shot her, it's her fault she got shot, and it's her fault the baby died.
Ebony had a gun, was willing to try and kill someone with it, killed a baby, and is free.
Just by absolute fluke, the mother didn't die, and she's not even being charged for attempted murder, attempted manslaughter, nothing. She's not being indicted on anything. She's been let out.
There must be an uproar about this.
Jones was expected to move to Jefferson County Jail, and she's held on a $50,000 bond. The case has attracted widespread attention from the public.
Thank fuck. Really high then.
Alabama reproductive rights advocates tweeted that it was working to get Jones bailed and to find a legal representation.
Is this basically all because of the pro-lifers?
I think so, yeah, because they just changed the law, didn't they, recently? So the National Abortion Federation added, a pregnant woman was shot in the stomach during a fight. The shooting caused her pregnancy to the end. She has been indicted for manslaughter. And they've put, this is how people, especially women of colour, are already being punished and having their pregnancies criminalised. So the thing is, so last month, so this is June now, so back in May, Alabama became the latest US state to ban abortions in almost all cases, including rape or incest.
Rape or incest?
Yeah. In Alabama, if you could be impregnated by your... I looked into this previously as well. You could be a young girl and be impregnated by your dad. Yeah. And if you get an abortion, in theory, you could end up serving more time than him because... because they would see it as she's taken a life, and they would see him as just rape and incest.
Right.
And you could potentially serve more time.
I understand if any of our listeners are A, because of religion, or B, just because of personal belief, are pro-life and believe that it's that you shouldn't, that in no circumstances should you can you have an abortion. You're wrong. You're 100% wrong. How dare you? This is perfect fucking reason, because when there's any talk on TV about pro-life versus pro-choice, they always say it's not going to become, nothing's going to become bad from it. It's basically, this is the right thing to do. This is what you should do because of all the bad stuff that's happened. No, fucking hell, this has happened. This is fucking awful.
This is ridiculous.
It doesn't matter if the mum is a grade A twat box. and is like the worst kind of person.
Yeah, terrible human being, but
don't shoot her. Walk away.
Don't shoot her, and don't shoot her in the stomach.
I mean, it's terrible. Yeah. It's a fucking tragedy that a baby died. It's a fucking tragedy. That is, I'm not doubting that, but
yeah.
Do not blame the person who got shot. That's like blaming a rape victim for dressing up slutty.
Yeah, she was asking for it. Look at her in her short dress. Like, I mean, fuck's sake.
Oh, I fucking hate.
So I know I brought it down, but I thought it's an important thing to mention, and also I thought I'd do it at the top of the hour.
Well, shall I try and raise it up a bit?
Let's see if you can. Yes.
Raise you up. Yeah, I can't believe I'm a singer. Fucking hell. Right, 2008, 68-year-old Agnes, not Angus.
Wow.
Agnes, she's a woman. Agnes Westland was bludgeoned to death.
All right.
Near a forest lake. Outside.
I thought you were going to bring it up a bit. That's a terrible start.
I will.
She got beaten to death.
Yeah, outside the tiny Swedish village of Loftahammar. Her death was called in by her husband, Ingmar. He claimed he found her in the snow.
I don't believe it. I think he did it. Always start with the husband or boyfriend.
Yeah, well, when police arrived, they immediately arrested Ingmar because it's a quite desolate place. There wasn't another person around for miles, so it was either him or a moose that was walking around. They chose wrong. With no hard evidence to tie him to the killing, Ingmar was released after 10 days.
Yeah, okay.
But because there was no one else to consider, he remained the prime suspect for months.
Obviously.
He had to move out of his home when his neighbours made it clear they didn't want him living next to him. When Agnes's forensic analysis finally came back, the report noted that she had the hair and saliva of a European elk, which is a moose, on
there was
her
a moose
body
loose.
About this house. So an analyst determined that Agnes had been randomly kicked to death by a moose during an evening walk.
Oh, no.
It gets better. It was probably a drunk moose. Because in general,
I'll see you later, honey. I'm just going for a walk in the woods. I won't be long. I'll
some
be back in a bit.
belligerently drunk moose drinking whiskey outside.
Fucking hammered moose.
But basically, moose in general are shy creatures and avoid humans at all costs. If you, and the elk as well. For those people who are not in America. But at the time of Agnes's death, all the local gardens were strewn with fermented apples, enough to let even a moose be affected by eating them. So it makes
the moose was just sat in the park drinking cider like a teenager,
and it makes the bulls, which are the male moose. I don't know what's plural. It makes them aggressive and overly confident. That's the effect that fermented apples have on them.
That's the effect that fermented apples have on every male.
Yep. So they think that the moose attacked Agnes out of a sheer drunken stupor. The case was dropped by the police, but not Ingmar, who understandably sued the department for gross incompetence. I love that story. It's horrible.
It's horrible, but it is really funny. I mean, they had to question the husband. He's the only one around. Like, you've got to.
Bear in mind, the police only have a finite amount of resources, and they can only go on what they know and have experienced. You see somebody bludgeoned in the snow, no one around for 10 miles, and there's only the husband.
Or a moose.
Oh, and there's a moose. You've seen a moose walking about. You're not going to say, well, the moose did it. Drunk
who
moose.
Wants to be the policeman that goes up to his whoever, like his superior, and goes like, I think we've got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What? So what do you think
moose.
it is? I think it's fucking Rocky or Bullwinkle, whatever one is the moose.
But yeah, so that's my one. The killer elk. But until I read the story, I had no idea that an elk and a moose were the same thing. I thought they were different things.
I don't know.
Elk
I've
is
never
a
really
moose.
thought about it.
Same genus.
Yeah.
So that's my little fun one. Go. Are you going to bring it up or down?
Up a bit because no one dies.
Yay!
So this was first published on July the 10th, 2018. I got it from the Fox News website, so I'm sure it's true.
100% true.
Police in Washington say a man who broke into an escape room on Sunday damaged the room so badly he couldn't escape. Would-be burglar gets stuck in the escape puzzle room.
Wait, is that because he couldn't figure it out? How to get out?
So, no, see, unfortunately, that's what I thought it was. I was like, he couldn't figure out the puzzle. But apparently, Rye Wardlaw allegedly broke into Northwest Escape Experience in Vancouver site. The Jigsaw movie... Oh, no, wait, sorry. The Jigsaw movie inspires terrifying escape room experience. Apparently, it was like based on Saw.
Yeah.
So the owner of the escape room, a locked room full of puzzles and clues that participants must solve in order to escape, told the news station Wardlaw did so much damage to the business he couldn't escape after breaking in. He apparently didn't know how to use the lock on the front door and was stuck. From inside the room, Wardlaw reportedly called police and told officials he was calling from the escape room because his own home was being burglarised. While trying to...
Whoa. You've glossed over something very big.
It's weird,
Wait,
yeah.
He broke into this place.
He's saying, my house has been burglarised, so I've broken into an escape room and got stuck. While trying to escape, he allegedly broke the back door handle before calling 911 several times. He reportedly gave law enforcement a phony address. So when the address didn't exist, they responded to the escape room.
Wow. But he must have known when he broke in there it was an escape room.
It's a fucking escape room.
The basis of an escape room is you cannot get out unless you solve...
What I love is that he broke into it, couldn't figure out the puzzle, tried to get out, broke the handle, and then locked himself in.
So did he break in because he couldn't afford the room and wanted to just try it out?
I actually don't know. It doesn't say.
Oh,
to be
that's
fair,
wonderful.
it doesn't say, but it is a bit sad. So Tamara's husband, Rob, told Fox 12 the incident made him feel violated, as their escape room is a small business. We put our heart, soul, and money into this place to make it work. Our goal is to bring fun to families and businesses. It doesn't feel good to get taken advantage of.
Don't say the word families when you're doing a Saw-themed escape room.
No,
There's not families involved in this.
Once police had arrived, Wardlaw reportedly found a way to escape the room and was outside the business.
Oh, so he got out?
He did eventually, yeah.
Oh.
He's facing secondary burglary charge with a jail set of $40,000.
Fucking hell. Bear in mind that the woman who...
It's getting done for manslaughter of her own child is $50,000.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, so broke into an escape room, couldn't figure out how to escape, tried to force his way out, broke the handle off the door and got stuck in and had to phone the police.
Wow.
What a dick.
That was good. My next one is one on its own that's a good story, but it's actually going to lead us on to a bit of a bigger topic to talk about another couple of things afterwards.
Oh, yes.
This is the case of Police Lieutenant Charles Joseph Glinowitz, who was also nicknamed G.I. Joe. He was 1 month away from retirement.
He's only 1 month away from retirement.
On a routine patrol near Fox Lake, Illinois, he radioed the station for backup, saying that he was in hot pursuit of 3 suspicious unidentified men. When the backup arrived, they heard gunshot in the woods and found Glinowitz lying dead on the ground. He'd been shot twice, once in his bulletproof vest and once in his head. So he was buried with full honours with an 18-mile funeral procession.
What?
Mm-hmm. It was the town mourned the death of, basically, he was a local hero.
Yeah.
But they soon found out that there was something more, because an ex-police officer who knew Glinowitz, this is after it was all done, everyone said he's a hero, died. He came out saying that isn't the way it happened. And this isn't the way it happened. He killed himself. Kept saying it. So the police eventually looked more into it. The FBI investigated into it. They soon realised that his personal life was a bit shady, let's say. They found out he was embezzling money from the Fox Lake Police Explorer program, which mentors young people wanting to become policemen. Oh, well done. With the money embezzled, him and his wife had 5 different bank accounts where they were embezzling all the funds. There was a few sexual harassment cases that were coming up against him, and he was also he thought he was about to get done for threatening another officer with a gun.
Okay.
So basically, they found all this stuff about it, and there was a lot of talk on his Facebook page about an upcoming audit that was going to happen about the Police Explorer program, and apparently it scared him. And his cell phone record showed him that he was around the scene of the chase for half an hour before he called for backup. And the forensic evidence showed that the 2 shots came from a close distance, arm length. It didn't take long for the FBI to basically complete the puzzle. He had, in fact, he embezzled the money for years, and enough to have, bear in mind, 5 accounts.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of money in there.
Yeah,
I couldn't find out how much, but it's going to be hundreds of thousands at least. The audit was about to reveal all he was going to do. So at first, he tried to hire a local gang member to kill the local official about to do the audit, who's going to eventually expose him.
Yeah, that seems fine. I'm sure because if you kill the one person who's going to do the audit, they'll just forget about the audit. Yeah.
Of course, that fell through. And Glinowitz had experience of crime scenes.
Yeah.
And knew exactly what to do. So he decided to commit suicide in a way that would look like he would be killed by some other criminals. And of course, it wasn't the case. They found out it was a case of suicide masking up his previous acts and things.
Do we
like
know
that.
how his colleague knew?
So I think he was the ex-colleague knew that he was not, that there was no people there.
Oh, okay.
I think that was what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't actually write it down. But since then, the wife was arrested 4 months later, and she's been indicted of 4 counts of dispersing charitable funds without authority for personal benefit. I couldn't find out what's happened to her. So fuck knows what's happened to her. But that is the story, which I think is quite fascinating.
It is. I wonder with this, like, do you think he was just trying to kid himself because he just didn't want to deal with it anymore? Or do you think he was trying to kid himself because... I was thinking about this when you were talking.
To get his
maybe he had like a life insurance policy.
Yeah. Or maybe he didn't need it. Maybe him killing himself means they would stop looking at him and his wife would keep the money.
Yeah, maybe. But also, like, I'm pretty sure certain, life insurance policies don't pay out in the case of suicide. So if he got killed on active duty, if he got killed in active duty, she'd probably get life insurance. She'd get his pension. As well, so he'd get a police pension and get his life insurance policy, and they'd stop looking into it.
I imagine the pension has been cancelled.
That's the thing, because of this. Like, she wouldn't be, and obviously she's indicted, but even if she wasn't, like, the family won't get any payout for life insurance. They won't get any payout of any pension. They won't get any payout for any other money you might get for being killed on duty, because you would get a payout for your family and stuff like that.
But I mean,
they wouldn't get any of that as a suicide.
Next, what I wanted to quickly go on, we'll gloss over a lot of it because it's just basically, I think it's speculation. None of this is actually truth or anything. There's no facts behind it. It's looking into the bigger picture.
Paedophiles are more closely related to crabs than humans.
Basically, yeah. And when people like you, the reasons for say suicide or people covering it up, because a lot of these cases you find out that people have been made to look like they killed themselves, and we always hit like, but they found out it's murder. The amount of times they wouldn't have found out it was murder.
It's interesting, isn't it?
I'm only going on conspiracy theory here, nothing else. This is just conspiracy theory, and I have to say this is not the case, but it's just look into it. Look at every case you see wider than you normally would, because until all facts are known, you can never know exactly what happened. Like, we say these things as facts.
Yeah.
We get them off the internet. We don't fucking know.
Well, we have to take a certain amount of I guess a certain amount of trust in things like police reports and court documents and.
But like there was
stuff are accurate.
Like there's, I won't say names in this because I don't want any fans of the people to actually. Have a problem with it, but there's a couple of celebrities in the recent past killed themselves in the exact same manner.
Yes.
And there had been.
I didn't know you were going to talk about this, but I know who you're talking about.
I won't say. But there has been a conspiracy theory out saying that it was they were actually murdered to cover up a fact that they were going to out some very, 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 very powerful record producer of basically being King Pedo.
Yes.
And yes, all deaths have innumerable conspiracy theories, and these two deaths have a bunch of their own.
And particularly, when you're someone who has maybe touched a lot of lives with your art, and people don't want to see you as like
fallible,
they don't want to see that you've done those things, that you would have done that to yourself, so you want like a bigger story.
Yeah. The
same way that people will say Elvis is alive or things like that. You wouldn't want to believe that these two artists have just killed themselves. Why would they do that?
Yeah, I mean,
they're clean of drugs now. They're successful now again.
And
like,
suicide
and all
is, in the bigger picture, a very selfish, cowardly act. I get that. I get that it is and it isn't, but it is for the families. Like the families can see it like that. It is the ultimate selfish thing to do. But it's not saying
they don't necessarily think that. They're thinking actually quite the opposite. Normally, they're thinking, I need to do this because I don't want to be around and everyone will be better without me. But
always the back of my mind with this, especially when you look at the thing of like Gliniewicz, is that he was lauded as if the FBI didn't look for it, if the ex-police officer didn't say anything, to this day nobody would have known. There might have been conspiracy theories around it, which makes me think that any conspiracy theory that comes out, I look twice. And at this kind of thing, when there's two people who had no cause to kill themselves, no lead up, the families had no fucking idea.
Yeah.
And they did it in exactly the same way.
They'd had their troubles in their past, but by all accounts, they were they were successful in battling like their demons and things.
And then
one
you
had
look
recently bought a new house.
Somebody comes out with such a specific conspiracy theory that it's about this one other individual that they definitely had dealings with. because they were
And-
on. They had
Yeah.
met him and been on the label.
and
that he
it's
was
an
on.
and it's an open secret.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the person. If you know the name, I'm not going to say the name, but if you know the name, you would sit there and the first thing you'll come to mind is King Pedo. So it's kind of like, that's the bigger topic. But then there was a recent thing that we'll say this one because we're saying it's not true. There's no evidence.
It just makes you think about could it be?
Yeah, but like this morning, Chris wrote to me saying that Steven Adler, the drummer from Guns N' Roses, had just been taken to hospital for stabbing himself multiple times in the stomach. Now, Steven Adler has a history of drug addiction, as most Guns N' Roses do.
Yeah.
So there is that's all we know. Automatically, because I was talking about Gliniewicz to him at the time, I was going, oh my God, what happens if it's trying to cover up for something else? Like, that's how we've gone to it. It's like, I feel fucking awful for his family and for him. I mean, it could be for any reason he did it. It could be he's drug-addled brain damage, thinking there's maggots in his bloodstream, trying to get them out. It could be hiding a past, trying to get life insurance. It could have been trying to kill himself because he's so fucking unhappy. We don't know. It could be could have been an accident. It could have been an attempted murder that has then been said that he did it twice. We don't know.
We don't know. Also, as far he's still alive, at this point. He's just in hospital. But yeah, it just makes you question things when you hear about a conspiracy theory that is actually true. Well, it makes you question other things.
And it makes me think, especially with suicide, I have such a difficult time with suicide but mainly because, I mean, everyone has their struggles with their own mental health at some point in their life. But at no point have I ever had even the first thought of suicide. That makes me one of the lucky people because the amount of people that have suicidal thoughts and things like that is innumerable. But when I hear about it, I find such a disconnect and I find it unreal that somebody would take their own life or could take their own life. Like, even if you want to, I couldn't ever see myself.
Well, yeah, you can't put yourself in that place and in that mindset to think to even comprehend.
Yeah, and I have a problem, so I automatically try and look into a deeper story.
Yeah.
And it's totally wrong because at the end of the day, it's a mental health disorder most of the time. And it's a tragic, horrible thing. And it's not a fault of anyone. Like someone who kills themselves, they're not at fault most of the time.
No,
I mean, if they're like Gliniewicz, yeah, you're fucking at fault, mate.
Yeah, that's different. But if someone's got mental health issues and they commit suicide because that's the only way they can.
But that's the background where this comes from. So that's why I told this story as well. But why I wanted to go into the bigger story of like the conspiracy theories. Like, this conspiracy theory was 100% correct. That one guy was saying something happened, and eventually the FBI looked into it and proved it 100% right. And this guy was a piece of shit, which is fascinating. So I kind of brought it up, brought it down, but down. That's just flatlined. So which way are you going to take it? Up or down, mate?
Up.
Take it up.
Marlborough, Massachusetts.
Marlborough?
Yeah, Marlborough. Flavor country. So this guy, Nate Romand, tells the Boston Globe that when he returned to his Marlborough home from work on May the 15th, he could tell a stranger had been there. So he got there and he's like, shit, someone's broken into my house.
Okay.
However, nothing was missing.
How could he tell someone's been in his house?
So that's strange. But the 44-year-old Roman noticed that the beds were made, the rugs were vacuumed, and the toilets were scrubbed. They even crafted origami roses on the toilet paper rolls.
So somebody broke in and made his house a hotel.
They cleaned his... Yeah.
Did just the hotel cleaner got the wrong building?
No.
Lemon Pledge.
Oh, Lemon Pledge.
That's really racist. Or really tribute to Family Guy.
It's on quite Family Guy. There's nothing. So he... man weirded out that someone broke into his home just to clean it. Nothing was missing. Beds were made, rugs vacuumed, and origami roses on the toilet paper rolls. Is
this crime a repetitive one? Has it happened other places? Or is it just like this happens this one thing?
This is just a one-off thing. I got this from where did I get this from?
I don't know. It's like, obviously you could prosecute someone if
Boston
you found
Globe,
out.
I think I got that
if you found out who broke into your home and somebody actually broke into your home for whatever purposes, you can do.
So the thing is, like,
if they left it in a better condition,
there was no. So he said he found it weird and creepy. I think there was no hint, there's no evidence of someone breaking and entering. He just got in and was like, my house was a fucking tip and now it's nice and tidy and nothing's been taken. So like a couple of things. It's like, I would be worried, like, what have they done?
Yeah. But the first thing I thought of when you said that was, this is somebody escalating. As in, like, this is the middle rung of somebody going, well, I'll break into a house. Well, I'll do stuff. And the next one
I'll
is going to
just
be...
fuck with them.
Yeah, and then the next one, I'll break into somebody's house, clean it, and then, like, basically make them part of the furniture. You know, type thing. It's
yeah. I think, did they like rub their like balls over his pillow or something? Do you think he
I
like?
would not use my toothbrush.
Do you think he put? I was going to say, do you think he put his toothbrush in his bumhole or something and then put it back?
I would basically be using luminol for the I would be checking everywhere for
I think
blood and
burn
semen.
it and start again.
Yeah, I'd get UV lights. I'd be checking everything for semen because I imagine I'll be there going, no, they've come in my cheese.
So what?
Like, that's going to be definitely what they're going.
What he says though, Roman says he may have left his back door unlocked.
That's no fucking excuse.
And he thinks perhaps, and this is the most logical thing, a housekeeping service went to the wrong home by mistake, found the door unlocked, and just cleaned his house and left.
You say that. I have never experienced any kind of house cleaning services that will do origami with fucking toilet paper.
But maybe he's just, I think he's just trying to not justify it, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of normalise it in his head and figure out what it might have been. Because otherwise,
sure he wasn't that drunk.
And he was at work. He came home from work, and his house was tidy.
Would you be angry? I would. I'd be terrified.
Weirded out. I'd be really creeped out because, like you said, what have they done? There's literally ectoplasm all over the house.
Yeah. Or done something like I would search the house thinking they've put recording devices or stuff in there, or there's been they've hidden drugs there to come get at a later date.
Yeah.
I would move that fucking day. The origami bit's really,
that's really weird.
That's actually the worrying part.
That makes me feel like they work in a hotel rather than clean houses normally.
Or they're extreme. They're basically like Kevin Spacey from Seven. Not Kevin Spacey in real life. He's not going to rape you. Kevin Spacey from Seven. You know, the whole thing of like the obsessive compulsive has to do the origami.
Maybe he just walked past the house. No, the person walked past and was like, "That house is really messy. I have to do something," and just managed to like pick the locks.
Or what was with his friends fucking with him?
Man, I hope that's true.
Oh, that would be even better if I came out. He's like a girl who actually really fancied him.
I'll do something nice.
I went round to see him. The door was actually open. I went in to see he wasn't there, but the place was tips. I thought I'll do something nice. But then he reports it to the police. He's like, I can't say shit.
Do it.
I can't
do
say shit.
It's gone too far. And that is, that's that story.
That's a
kind
good
of
one.
funny.
I like that. My next one is Mary Morris. Basically, on October the 16th, 2000, clinic nurse Mary Morris, she became panicked when she saw someone at the drugstore on her way home from work. She made a frantic 911 call. During the call, she was beaten to death, then shot.
Wow.
They found her body in her vehicle along a remote stretch of road. Now, fucking tragic, fucking horrible. After that, they linked it to... They were like a bit weirded out because 4 days previous to that, a bank loan officer, Mary Morris, left her... Yeah, same name. Left her suburban Houston home and went to work. She never arrived at the office. Her husband tried to contact her all day, but by 5 p.m., he'd reported... She was 48 years old, reported her missing. Somebody found her body later that evening in her car along a remote stretch of road 3 miles from her house. The body was burnt so badly that forensic scientists needed tooth fragments to identify her. No one had robbed her. There was no motive or explanation for the murder. Now, bear in mind, there were 2 Mary Morrises killed, both left along remote stretches of road. Right? One was beaten and shot, one was burnt. I'm about to show you pictures. I'll link these. One looks like the younger version of the other.
Oh, yeah.
Now, basically, the popular theory behind this is because they know that the likelihood of 2 people with the same name being murdered and left in the same way in the same city is so small a percentage.
Yeah.
Like it's so unlikely. So they believe because the second Mary Morris that was killed, she and her husband were having marital difficulties. In addition, a new co-worker at a clinic, a male nurse, began to leave her death threats on her desk.
Well, that's not very nice.
Because she was the reason that he got fired. She asked her husband for a gun for protection. He showed her how to use it as well, so he got her one. Of course, that did nothing good. The murderer made her death appear as if it was a suicide, but because of the 911 call, they knew differently.
Okay.
So they found her. They had the other one. So they had 2 suspects because the husband was definitely a suspect.
Yeah, of course.
The male nurse was a suspect.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because there was no evidence linking any of them, and they could not prove that they were even in the area there, so they couldn't charge anyone. They believe that one of them either did it themselves or not did it themselves. One of them hired somebody else to kill their Mary Morris, showed a picture, and it just so happened they got a different Mary Morris who looks similar.
They were 9 years
killed
apart.
that one, and then went to correct it by killing the other one, because obviously they killed the.
Yeah.
But then there was the reason that they thought of the husband, because marital difficulties is not a reason. The guy who she got fired, fine, that's a reason. But the husband had a $700,000 insurance policy in her life at the time of her death. He refused to take any polygraph tests. He would not let the police interview his daughter, who was key to his what's it called, alibi, that he was in the cinema watching a film with her at the time. They, at the time of her death, or just after her death, he made a 4-minute phone call that he said he was trying to call her phone, but she never picked up. And he says, the phone company made a mistake with the length of the call because she never picked up. They believe that he called the hitman because he's supposed to pick up the phone and confirm the death.
Yeah.
So it's not his phone. But they couldn't prove anything. The first Mary Morris had a wedding ring removed from her finger, which is the one major thing that hitmen take to prove to the employer that he finished the job. So that's why they could link the two and think it's a hitman, and hence the phone call. The other thing that happened, somebody, between the two murders, between those 4 days, someone called the Houston Chronicle to say that the first Mary Morris murder was a mistake and they got the wrong Mary Morris.
All right.
Nobody knows who made that call.
That's
But
far.
it's basically, they know that they more or less.
It feels like it was a hit and they got the wrong one.
Yeah,
Jesus,
but because they had
woman.
lack of evidence, no confession, a lack of a murder weapon, it doomed both cases.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing they can do. You can't. You have the bodies, but without probable cause, you can't. Well, you have probable cause, but without evidence to prove the probable cause, there's nothing you can do.
It's just circumstantial at this point.
And it sucks. But yeah, so that was
that is really interesting.
It's really interesting that I've never heard. That's basically it only happened in a film.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anyone else with my name in the area. The fact Mary Morris might be a fairly common name. I don't know. But I've never met anyone. I've met one person with the surname Morris years ago, and Mary. Do I know anyone called Mary?
I know someone called Mary.
Yeah. So it's like Magdalene, right?
I know 2 people called Mary.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's my one of Mary Morris, which is nice. So it wasn't really up or down. That was just more a bit interesting.
It was interesting. I've got one. Bring it up a little bit. I think if I have my references on the correct order, this was on the 14th of the 6th, 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's 14 days ago.
Yeah.
Wow. You keep getting new ones. My ones are old.
Well, because I kept finding really old ones, and I thought I'd try and find a couple of newer ones. So this happened in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So a South Carolina woman who police say was driving drunk will not be cited with a DUI.
Well,
do you know why?
Well, she was driving drunk.
Yeah.
She didn't have a DUI. She's not going to be cited with a DUI because she was saving someone at the time.
No, because her vehicle of choice was a toy truck.
What, a kid's truck?
Yep. News outlets quote police are saying that instead they charged 25-year-old Megan Holman with public intoxication. They say they spotted her cruising down the road in a Power Wheels electric toy truck after a caller reported a suspicious person on the street.
So she was. You can get arrested for riding a pedal bike drunk.
Yeah, but maybe because it's a toy and it's going really slowly, there's not a thing. I don't know.
That's really good.
But also, so those things, they're the Power Wheels, the little the ride on cars, whatever that kids have.
Yeah. Well, it's lucky fucking kids.
They don't go. Yeah, I never had one of those. Mum.
Yeah. Thanks.
She listens to this.
She does. And comments.
Yeah. So officers say, though, as well, so I'm assuming that she was drinking at home and then went on this. They found her a mile from our home when they stopped her.
She went a mile
Apparently she'd driven a mile.
How fucked you've got to be? But I imagine, like, even sober, I'd enjoy that.
It would be really fun. But, but yeah, so that's just a little story, but I found that so funny.
I like that.
Maybe she drove it to the bar and was on the way home again.
That'd be brilliant.
Put it on to charge while she's having a drink.
If they can't charge her, does that mean she can do it again?
Well, yeah. Well, she's charged with public intoxication, but she's not no effects on her driving license or anything.
Brilliant.
She'll get done again for that.
Brilliant. Right. Well, my next one is not a story. It's kind of little factoids that I referred to it in my last episode when we were talking about Joanna Dennehy, and we talked about Gary Stretch being 7'3". This is serial killer heights. Oh. It's just I found it quite interesting because it's sort of it does humanize a lot of these people to be more. You can picture them more. But it was when I started off and I just saw a list of these and I was like, oh, whatever. But at the bottom of it, look, the smallest person on this list at 5'2". I can beat this with another person who's 4'9", but this is on this list. Charles Manson was 5'2".
The thing is, so I knew he was short, but I always had like 5'5" in my head.
Yeah,
I always thought he was like just short, but
I mean, it doesn't mean none of us are saying short people are murderers, because then you've got Edward Kemper, who's 6'9".
well, no, but
You've
it's
got,
just like
it's quite
how
fascinating.
charismatic was he if he convinced a bunch of women to
Who
sleep
were
with
a lot
him,
taller than him.
let alone commit crimes?
Yeah, but then you've got like so we'll go with the shorter end of the spectrum. You got Crippen, Dr. Crippen, 5'3". I was like, at that point, I went, don't know, don't care. That was like, all right, I don't know enough about Crippen to even
That's
like.
still a wee man, isn't it?
Yeah. Then you got like when you get to the females like Eileen Wernos. I never thought she'd be 5'4". I thought she was near a 6. I thought she was a
Yeah, I thought she was kind of tall.
But I think it's because Charlize Theron plays her, and she's not 5'4". I'm going by the film here.
No, yes, I think that's probably
Albert Fish. Now, after we saw a picture of him in the electric chair, you can tell he's not
Yeah,
tall.
we'll post a picture of that. It's an interesting photo.
5'5". Yeah.
Albert Fish, like I always thought he was small. Like I thought he was a small man because he's like thin and
he looks
everything. But I don't know. I didn't think he was 5'5".
Yeah.
I thought he was maybe like.
You've got like obviously Myra Hindley and Rose West, 5'5" and 5'6" respectively.
That's quite.
You go fair enough. You're in the middle. Like Geen, 5'7". I expected him to be shorter.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I
thought he
expected
was
him
like
to be
5'5" or 5'4".
H.H. Holmes, same height. Fred West, same height. Peter Sutcliffe only.
I always get I always forget that Fred West was quite small.
Yeah,
I always forget about that, even though we covered him.
Sutcliffe was only 5'8". I presume another one. It's
He
the whole
had-
thing of you picture the killers as being huge.
Like 5'8" isn't really really tiny, but I know he had an issue with his height, didn't
Yeah.
he? Which is why he like worked out and stuff.
Again, Shipman. I was from all the reports, I thought he was over 6 foot. He's 5'9". I always thought Shipman was a very tall guy.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I always thought he was old.
know,
But I always thought he was old. I always thought he was small.
Yeah.
But I thought he was small because he always looked old to me.
Yeah.
So I just thought he was like a little wizened old man.
I mean, when you get to people like Bundy, 5'10", that's I imagine that was
Ordinary.
that was about
About my height.
Weirdly, Gacy was 5'10". I thought he was over 6 foot.
Yeah, I thought he was a big dude.
Yeah, obviously
Just a big
5'10"
fat
is
man.
not small. It's not. It's like I'd say probably it's 5'8" average height for a man.
I don't know. I'm just over 5'10", so it's about my height.
Gacy was the same height as you. I always thought he was the Kemper kind of size.
Yeah. So I could fuck him up.
Also, Raider thought he was small. Nope, 5'11".
Oh, he's a turd, isn't he?
But
Fucking
I thought
Dennis
he was
Rader.
tiny. I
yeah,
thought he was tiny
I'd
for some
imagine
reason.
I'd imagine he's a little man because
Yeah.
of he's just a turd.
But the weird thing, is, the other weird one, Shawcross. Really thought he was a small fat
Arthur
gnome.
Short. Arthur. Is that his first name? Arthur Short. Yeah.
I thought he was a fat short man.
Yeah.
He's 6 foot tall.
Oh,
He's
right.
half an inch taller than me.
He's pretty tall.
He's pretty fucking tall. I mean, for him, I mean, I don't expect him to be big. Dharma, 6 foot.
Yeah. Pretty tall.
Again,
I
never
always
thought
have
of
this
him.
picture in my head, like you said, not small, but like the people like my height as well. Like some of the guys, I just imagine them being like 6'2", 6'3"
Yeah.
or taller. I imagine them being big, imposing figures. I imagine them to be the same as Ed Kemper.
Yeah, I mean, he is the personification of the size of what you would imagine a serial
How tall
killer
is
to be.
he?
6'9".
So he's 6'9", intelligent,
Yeah.
somewhat charming. As far as like a lot of when they say are charming, he's one of the few that I've gone like he's pretty engaging.
And he's still half a foot shorter than Gary Stretch.
Gary Stretch, but he was just a dumb fuck.
Yeah. Oh, he wasn't a killer, of course. You got Stephen Port.
No, he got in trouble, didn't he? For
He got in trouble. He didn't actually
killing
kill
someone
anyone.
in prison.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah, that's afterward. We didn't talk about that, did we?
Yeah, we did. You mentioned it.
Okay, that was the last episode. We're just debating that now. But Stephen Port, the guy that went on the chat sites and got all the men and killed them.
Oh, yeah,
that was,
yeah.
quite recently. He's 6'3". Again, and we'll go back to one we've covered before. Belfield. Still can't believe he's 6'1". Because we're going with a lot of these things, like especially with Belfield. There was a dramatisation on BBC about that case, and they hired a guy, the actor who plays Belfield, who looks about 5'5".
Yeah, I always thought he was because he's kind of fat.
Yeah,
I always thought he was like little and fat.
but then it turns out it's
I
not
always
fat.
picked-
That's just muscle.
I always pictured
like
him
bulk.
being like the guy that's in Human Centipede 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought he was.
That's what I picture him as being.
But now I went from serial killers. I'll now go to what some people might call serial killers, politicians. I had no fucking idea that Trump was 6'3".
Yeah, he's a big dude, isn't he?
Fucking massive.
He's
Also,
6'5" with his hair.
oh yeah. Obama 6'2".
Oh, he's a big man.
Saddam Hussein 6'2". No fucking idea these people are like
So
quite
damn
tall
insane.
guys. Oh.
Family Guy, South Park.
George Bush
Or
as well,
Simpsons.
Junior.
Oh yeah. About 5'6", 5'7".
And his dad
Oh, is he?
5'11".
Was he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was just guessing.
Pol Pot I thought was tiny, 5'9". Thought he was tiny.
That's pretty average height there as well.
Yeah. Kim Jong Un is 5'9".
I always pictured him taller for some
It's
reason.
Kim Jong Il that was 5'4".
Yeah, I know he was little because of Team America.
Yeah, and but then to cap this off,
Yep.
because we've talked about all these heights.
Yep.
The one that is the one politician that has always been known for being the shortest piece of shit on the planet, Napoleon. Napoleon was not that short. He was 5'6",
And that was average as well.
And also back then,
that's what I mean.
A bit more than
it
average,
literally was. Like he was normal height in France at that time when he was around. He was absolutely ordinary height. It was propaganda that the British sort of sent and stuff. And
and basically the next, that's the end of that little bit.
Cool.
I've got one more story after that, which is related to this because it is what I think, as what I found, is the shortest male killer. But
cool.
we'll
I've got one more story,
cool,
and then yours is a bigger one to finish on, I reckon.
I'm going to finish it quite quickly. Don't worry.
No, bigger as in like a
sexier
case wise.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
So Lufkin, Texas.
You are going to like all the yokel back places.
I know it's
today.
good, isn't it? It's really fun.
Have I heard of Lufkin before? Oh wait, no, that just it sounds.
You're
like
thinking of Blumpkin.
I'm thinking of Blumpkin. I actually was
Which is a
thinking of
different
Blumpkin.
thing.
I'm thinking of Lemon Party again. Damn it.
Oh. Lufkin, no, I've heard of Lufkin, Texas as well, to be fair, and I don't know why.
I'm thinking of Lubbock, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Lubbock. There we go. Yeah.
So, police who surrounded a house in eastern Texas, police surrounded a house in eastern Texas because they thought they had a burglary in progress. So the homeowner called Lufkin police early Thursday after she heard glass breaking. So she heard a window smash, and there's video of this. There's like body cam pictures.
Oh, yeah.
So the window is smashed. The woman, she hid in a closet when she phoned the police, and she realised she'd left her gun in the kitchen. So she was hiding. She's a smashed window.
Yeah.
Hiding in the cupboard. And it's like, shit, I've left my gun in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Well, it's not. It's Texas, isn't it? It's not that random, probably. So the police turn up thinking, they could find an armed burglar.
Yeah.
So they come in. They climb through the window. They're shouting. You can hear they're yelling, "Police, let me see your hands! Police, let me see your hands!" And they're going in. You can see they're walking around. They're shouting. They've got their guns drawn. They're ready. They turn around the corner and they come face to face with a very frightened doe. An officer shouts, "It's a deer! It's a deer! It's a deer!" So a deer, for whatever reason,
A female deer.
a doe, a deer, a female deer had I've never seen that film.
Wait, so we've got a murderous elk.
Yep.
And we've got like a burgling
deer. Deer, oh dear.
Oh dear.
So the deer had jumped.
Did it have the gun in its hoof? That's the biggest question. Carry on.
So the deer had obviously, for whatever reason, had jumped through the window and smashed through the window, and the woman had scarpered and didn't know.
And just walked around the house.
Yeah, so the officers they used chairs and shooed the deer out the door. But there's body cam footage of it on YouTube.
I'll see if I can find that and
Yeah,
link that.
yeah,
That is
definitely.
brilliant. Oh, damn it. We should have done this better. We should have ended on that one and started with the deer, the moose. Oh.
That's okay.
How well, we're going to
So last story?
The last one is I'll tell you I won't first go into who he is, but I'll just tell you, he's 4'9". He's from Japan.
4'9".
Now in the first grade when he was in Japan, he said that he took part in bestiality with his dog.
What?
And experienced cannibalistic desires for women. That's when he first experienced the cannibalistic desires, and he sort of willingly said that.
What kind of fucking
dickhead
roboplegic wrongcock would fantasize about doing sex things with dogs?
Oh no, he didn't fantasize about. He did that and then fantasize about cannibalism.
Oh, okay,
he actually
but
did
either
the
way,
dog.
he would.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the kind of depraved?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the same guy. In 1973, when he was 23 in Tokyo, this guy followed a tall German woman home, broke into her apartment while she was sleeping, with the intent to cannibalize her by tearing off her flesh and walking away with a small part of it, leaving her alive. But she woke up, and as he claims,
obviously she woke up,
pushed him to the ground. 4'9". He was captured by police and charged with attempted rape. He did not, though, at that point, confess his true intentions to the authorities. He was not convicted. In 1977, the age of 27, he moved to France to pursue a PhD in literature at the Sorbonne in Paris. He said that while residing there, almost every night he would bring a prostitute home, try and shoot them, but for some reason his finger froze and he couldn't pull the trigger. Now, that isn't what he was charged for, because in June 1981...
He did this like almost every night.
Yeah.
As well. That's fucking ridiculous.
In 1981, he's called, I can't really pronounce the name of things, Issae Sagawa. He was caught in a Parisian park with 2 suitcases in his hands.
Was he on a Parisian walkway?
Yes. Inside the suitcases were human remains.
Oh, right. Oh.
3 days before he was caught,
Pat lunch.
Sagawa had shot and killed Renee Hartveld and spent the intervening time eating various parts of her body.
Oh.
For his crime, he spent 5 years in a psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
After which time, he checked himself out and returned to Japan.
What?
And then over the 30 years since his crime, not only has he been free...
So
but
I know you're going to carry on, but like he did 5 years in a secure psychiatric unit, checked himself out and just fucked off home.
Now, bear in mind, what he actually did, she was a classmate in the Sorbonne. He brought her around to his apartment for dinner under the pretext of translating Japanese poetry for a school
Invited her
assignment.
around for dinner.
Yeah.
Don't they do that? It was like in the old fucking cartoons. Like they would be like, "What's for dinner?" You.
But bear in mind,
put her in a massive pot.
A 4'9" little Japanese guy
Yep.
has said he will translate some Japanese poetry for her. Come round for dinner. I think she was 5'10".
She's like, "Yes, I'm gonna have some sushi."
Yeah, she was 25 years old. He was 32 at the time. He considered himself weak, ugly, and small. Because he was weak, ugly, and small.
I shouldn't have. Wait.
Yeah.
Do that again because I talked over it and I don't want to fuck it up. So do that again because that's really funny.
Okay, Sagawa considered himself weak, ugly, and small, but that is only because he was weak, ugly, and small. He claimed he wanted to absorb her energy by eating her, because she was like,
That's kind of how eating works, I guess.
I think so. Yeah. Every time I eat like crisps, I get their energy.
You literally absorb energy through your gut.
So she arrived. She began reading poetry at a desk with her back to him. He shot her in the neck with a rifle. He said he fainted after he shot her.
Fuck's sake!
But
what
then
a dick.
woke up with the realization of what he'd done, so had to carry on with the plan. So he had sex with her corpse,
obviously,
but was unable to bite into the skin. So he left the apartment and purchased a butcher knife instead. He was literally sitting there trying to bite bits of flesh off, but couldn't do it. So in the preceding days, he ate various parts of her body, eating most of her breasts and face, saving the other parts in the refrigerator. He also took photographs of her at eating stage. He then attempted to dump the body in the lake in the Bois de Boulogne. That's where the suitcase is going. He was seen in the act. That's what he was doing in the park. Now, bear in mind, I will link to a page with these pictures in. Not safe for work.
Not safe for
life.
life.
They are fucking gross. Not safe for life, yeah. So he basically has a wealthy father.
I think when you post like some eye bleach as well, like a picture of a kitten or a puppy or something as well, so people can...
Just a picture of that kitten hanging from the branch saying, hang in there.
Yes.
So he had a wealthy father who provided the lawyer for the defence. So he was held for 2 years awaiting trial and was found legally insane and unfit to stand trial by the French judge, who ordered him to be held indefinitely in the institution. But then he was visited while he was in the institution by an author who was wanting to get his account of the kill, and it was published under the title in Japan called In the Fog. His subsequent publicity and weird macabre celebrity immediately made the police just decide to deport him to Japan. That's why he left. So it wasn't as bad as when I said it. No, but where he was there, they immediately committed him to a hospital, but then declared him sane and found sexual perversion as his sole motivation for murder. But because the charges in France had been dropped because they deported him, which you legally have to do, the French court's documents were sealed and not released to the Japan authorities. Consequently, he couldn't legally be detained in Japan. So he checked himself out of the hospital and remains free to this day. It's been widely criticised.
Well, yeah, now he did 5 years in a hospital in France. Mm-hmm. He did a little while in Japan and then was just free.
But it's all because of the laws between countries. Because they don't have... If they were part of, say, an EU kind of thing,
if you had
it'd be different.
An extradition treaty, you could, or whatever...
But the fact that in order to deport him, you have to cancel the case.
Yeah.
So they cancelled the case, deported him, and all the files they have to keep sealed. That's how it works. So, of course, he was let off. So then between 1986 and 1997, he was frequently invited to be guest speakers and commentators on Japanese TV. There's even an exploitation film about it. And he's been written books about the murder that he's committed. He's been in films. He's been on stage. He does paintings of the murders. But it's kind of good now. In 2005, his parents died, and he was prevented from attending the funeral. He repaid their creditors because he had some money, and then moved into public housing because he didn't have any more money. Yeah. He's received welfare benefits, and in an interview with Vice magazine in 2001, he said that being forced to make a living whilst being known as a murderer and a cannibal is the worst punishment. In 2013, he was hospitalized and had permanent damage to his nervous system.
Good.
Since being released, he's under full-time care of his brother.
Good dickhead. Fuck
so
you.
Dickhead, but I can't fucking believe
that's a
that.
nut story. That's a fucking crazy story. But also, like, I think that's the worst side of like glamorizing serial killers and murderers. Like, we have an interest in it, and sometimes I guess I sail close to the wind sometimes with how I view certain serial killers until I start doing research in them. Particularly, there's a certain thing, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Not killing people, but the way they carry themselves or the way they say certain things. You're like, it's fucking whatever. But then you realise, like, no, it's not. They fucking killed people.
Yeah, I mean,
and
this
that's
guy
the worst thing. Like the celebrity made him a legitimate celebrity, and he was free.
But it's also why I felt it important to say at the beginning about him fucking a dog, wanting to kill people, trying to break into somebody's house to do that, constantly trying to get, like, this was 100% premeditated and practiced until he could do it.
He figured it out.
Yeah, so that was Issae Sagawa, who, fuck him, but it was a cool little story. And that's me for...
And that is all...
True Crime Tapas.
And that is me. I am done. I've got no more stories. So until next time, follow us. Echo On Pod, Instagram, Twitter, the Face Bizays.
Yes, we've got the www.echoonpod.com. Find us on your favourite podcast app. We're on, I think, all of them now.
Yeah, I think we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, I think. We're on all of your podcast apps.
We've just got on radio.com and iHeartRadio, so you can listen to us on them as well.
There we go.
Spotify, all of them.
Wherever you get your podcast. Download them, download us.
Yeah.
Tell a friend, give us a rating, and
hey, for Christmas, we're nearly we've just over 6 months to Christmas.
Yeah.
So how about for Christmas, you give your loved ones the gift of Echo On Pod and give them a little letter telling them where to find us and just hashtag the shit out of it. And so get us followers, please.
Remember, keep calm and
Echo on. Oh, I feel sick now.
You're feeling a bit ill.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Tell a friend. I've been Chris.
I've been Christian.
And this has been Echo On.
Goodbye.